Hello, this is Bonnie from Lavinia World, the DT. And if you remember the last video I did with the bubbles, we created this background, and now we're going to start doing some stamping. And the two stamps that I have decided to use so far in this project is, actually there's three, is this one is called Sebastian the Seahorse, and it's LAV496. And then I have these bubbles right here, a big cluster, and that is called LAV583 Blue Orbs. And then I'm also going to be using the longer cluster, and that is called Pink Orbs, and it's LAV590. So those are what I'm going to stamp first, and I've already set up the bubbles on the misti. And I am going to be using Mermaid Lagoon, which is what I also used to color in the bubbles. These are going to be clear embossed right away. Make sure I don't have that in the way, I don't think. Nope. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it. I was gonna stamp both at the same time, but I left my magnet down at the bottom, so I cannot. Just move the magnet in a minute. So, let's see. Needs a little bit more ink. I'm going to go ahead and move that magnet right now. Watercolor paper absorbs really quickly, which isn't a surprise, I'm sure, to any of you. Got some ink there on the side. There we go, that's much better. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the one on the bottom. Go ahead and take that off, I don't need it again. I really like these orbs, I think they're really fun. I'm going to stamp that one more time, it's pretty good. Okay, and the next one I'm going to do is the seahorse, but I need to emboss these first. I'll be right back. Alright, so I have those both stamped and embossed with clear embossing powder. I used Nuvo clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to be doing Sebastian, and I am going to be using VersaFine Clair, Morning Mist. But I'm going to be doing something different in terms of embossing this guy. I am going to be using the Distress Embossing Glazes. They are also a transparent glaze, or not a glaze, but embossing powder. And it'll give it a little bit different look. Sebastian has a lot of detail to him. He's just a really, really gorgeous stamp. But he needs to be stamped a couple of times, again, because this is that watercolor paper, and that's okay. Just need to show you that it's just not, it takes a little bit more ink. But you really want to get his detail. Yep, another pass. There we go. That looks good. All right, so here's the part that's going to be a little bit different using the embossing glaze. this out of our way, I have a sheet of paper I'm going to use. Now when you typically do the embossing glaze, you can do one whole color if you want, or you can do it several different colors. But in order to do that, you need to pinch your embossing powders on. And I'm going to be doing the blue towards the back, so I'm going to pinch that randomly in the background. And then the next color is going to be, and that color was, it is the Broken China. And the next color I'm going to use is the new Speckled Egg. It'll blend in, let's put it that way. So this one's a little bit more of a, it's not a bright blue, it's more of a weathered blue, but it's not the same as weathered wood. And I'm trying to keep it so that the eye does not get that embossing on it. And I also have to be semi-quick because, again, like I said, this dries quickly. Embossing powder, or the embossing ink. I shouldn't say embossing ink. What am I saying? I'm saying the VersaFine Clair ink dries fast on watercolor paper. So you can see how I'm just kind of like putting the different colors throughout. This takes a little bit more time. All right, so the next thing you, oh, we can get some up here by the eye, I think. And like I said, I can always brush a little bit of that away. So then the next thing you're supposed to do when you want to move this, you tap your fingers underneath. This is what Tim Holtz shows you to do. You tap your fingers in it, and it even does a little bit more blending together. Okay. And then what you do is just toss it off. And I'm going to have a whole new look down below. So I'm going to go ahead and get that heat embossed. Okay, so I have Sebastian heat embossed, and if you can see, he's all a little bit glossy. The color didn't pick up a lot in that, but there's a subtle color. So in order to enhance a little bit more of this whole thing, I have stamped some of the Distress Oxide ink, and a Spun sugar is the first one I'm going to be using. And all I'm going to do with that, if I didn't have a contaminated brush, hold on a second. There, get that off. I ended up with green that I didn't need in that pink. Okay, let's see if we can get it going now. So the center of the circles of all the ones that I stamped, I am going to be putting the pink in the center of all of them. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and show you a sample, and then I'll speed this up. I'm also going to be doing the, this one is the Faded Jeans Distressed ink, and that is going to go around the outside of these circles. Try to be a little bit neater as I get going here. But that's what I'm going to do, and even the inside of all these, you'll end up seeing with the end. I'm going to do the Faded Jeans. So I'm going to go ahead and speed that up. Okay, now that we have Sebastian all colored in and the orbs colored in, I thought we'd add a little bit of glitter. And Lavinia World has gotten in a huge line of gorgeous glitter, and one of the ones that's my favorite, it actually doesn't say it on the packaging what one this one's called, and it's Pixie Dust. So, but it is gorgeous. It is the type of, I'm going to show this in another video, I hope, where you can use this glitter, the Pixie Dust, and color anything behind and put it on top, and it'll be that color. So that's really, really cool. Like, that's one of the reasons I love this one. It's my favorite. So anyway, let's get started with adding our glitter. What I am using is Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, but the glossy accents works just the same. It's just this is what I happen to have. So all I'm going to do is pick out some of these circles and add a little bit of the glossy accents or dimensional magic. And it's very simple. It adds a little bit of glimmer, shine, sparkle for our underwater scene. I'm going to go ahead and do the ones down here as well. A little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to put some of this gorgeous glitter on top. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. It's just so pretty. It's just such a pretty, pretty glitter. All right. I think I'm going to have to buy another couple of these because I know this is something I'm going to always use. I just dumped a bunch on that. All right. It's just so pretty. Okay, so the next thing that I did is added even more glitter, And this time I got a little sample in my order from the Lavinia world, and I can never say the name of this one, but I'll have it. It starts with a C. I think it's Cerulean, and I will have that in the description below, so you have the link for that. But it is also just as beautiful as a pixie dust. But for this one, I'm going to be kind of careful. It's easier if I let this dry so that it doesn't get stuck in that. So I'm going to try to be careful with this one so that I can get it all done at one time. All I'm doing for this one is just adding a line to accent Sebastian all the way around the outside of his body. Even up on his tail there. Okay. Because I don't really have the shaker, I have to be extra careful. Actually, I think, you know what, I'm going to grab a spoon. So I can be more precise. Okay. Now I'm not going to shake this one off right now because I don't want it to get into the bubbles, and it will, trust me. So I'm going to let this one set and shake that off once the bubbles have dried. But I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like because I finished it on my other card because I practiced on that. You can also see I added some highlights to all of the watercolor bubbles too. But see how beautiful that is? It's just so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and I will be back to add some bubble accents as well. All right, so I've got that all off the side of his body, and I'm going to just add a little bit of highlights to these bubbles. I'm just going to show you right here on just a couple, and then I'll go ahead and finish the rest of them off. Well, actually, you know what? It's not taking me that long. I'll just go ahead and show you. Like I said, I just add a little bit of highlight where that highlight is in the bubbles. I just add a little bit of this Mod Podge dimensional, and then all I do is sprinkle the Pixie dust, fairy hugs on top. And that's it. So it's a super fun. I know some people aren't exactly excited about glitter, but this is absolutely, it just totally adds to this design of Under the Water by adding some of this glitter. Okay. There we go. And then we have all our little highlights of sparkle. It's just really, really pretty. Okay, so we're going to finish this off. And what I decided to do is just distress some of the edges. I am going to be using Distress Oxide Spun Sugar, which is also what I use to color in these bubbles or orbs. So I'm going to think of this just like if the sun is coming down from the top in the ocean. So I'm going to be adding this to the I'm going to add this around the entire. It doesn't look like a lot when you start, but it does really show up well when you've finished. So you can be generous a little bit for the top, because this will be the only color that we'll have at the very top. And I went ahead and went all the way around, including the bottom. This makes a really pretty scene, I think. You might get a little bit of glitter popping off as you do this because it's a little bit rough, but it's not hurting anything. Okay, so that's the entire amount I'm going to use for this spun sugar. And then the next color I'm going to be using is Mermaid Lagoon, which is also what we used on the bubbles in the background. And in this case, I'm not going to put any at the top at all. I am only going to be coming in from the bottom. That was a little bit darker, but that works out fine. I don't want to completely cover up the bubbles we made, but I do want to have some of this coming up from the bottom. And a little bit on the sides. So really a look like that. Just a little bit on the sides. And then I'm going to ever so lightly add a little bit of the faded jeans, just like we did to the bubbles when we actually colored the bubbles in. But not very much. If you're a little bit heavy-handed with the colors, then you're just going to have to add a little bit more so that you can see both of them. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do for that. So the next step would be if you decide to make that into a card or if you're going to frame it. Love to see if you create this, what ideas you have for using this as your project card or whatever. So I'd like again to remind you, if you could subscribe, that would be great. And if you could share this, would also be super. And our DT have tutorials every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And all of the supplies that I use from the Lavinia world will be listed below. So I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you.